And it's back to you.
Great. Thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome.
We'll just get started in just a minute, Sandy. Just waiting for the crowds to arrive.
Are you expecting very many?
I don't know if I looked at the amount. What do we have? We have like 22 people signed up.
Oh, wow.
Doesn't necessarily mean that they show up. It just depends on what happened with their schedule. Things change sometimes.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Here we go. All right, welcome everybody. Good to see you on Friday. Friday morning still for me. It's only 10:30 in the morning. Hi, Michael. Nice to see you again. I looked up catfish, Michael, from the last class. I looked up, so it is a lesser fatty fish, but it's sounds pretty delicious. It's quite a mild fish. I'm going to try it since Myrna mentioned it. That was from our last class. We were talking about fish.
I find it quite bland.
Oh, do you? I think it's kind of like tilapia, maybe like we have sole up here. It's quite a mild fish. If you're not a fishy person, like if you can't handle salmon and things like that.
I love mackerel.
Oh, okay. I should try mackerel. Welcome everybody. Hi, Joyce. Nice to see you. Hi. And we've got Charles here and Gail, Charlie, Ginger. I don't know if I've seen some of you. Well, if you'd like to put your camera on, love to see your faces, even for a few minutes. So welcome. I'm going to start the recording before James reminds me to do it. Recording is going. Is the recording going, or did I just turn it off? No, I think I turned it on.
Oh, just turn off.
Did I just turn it off? Sorry, you must have turned it. Did you turn it on for me, or did it just, sometimes it automatically turns itself on?
No, I did it.
You did it, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
See, James knows me now. I sometimes forget. I start chit-chatting and I forget to turn it on. So it's on. I turned it off, then I turned it back on. All right, well, welcome. Great to have you all. I'm not sure how many we're going to have today, but they can just join in when they arrive. I'm going to start by sharing my screen. Let's just remind ourselves, and I have to remember too, to make sure I am teaching the right class. We are doing 7 healing foods, 7 simple recipes today. It's one of my favorite classes to teach because, well, we get to talk about food the whole entire time. Now, I just finished doing a basic nutrition class, so we were pretty much talking about food a lot of the time too. So that's what we're doing today. If you haven't met me before, I think a lot of you have now. I do a lot of the nutrition, health and wellness style classes. I do a class on creating your own morning routine. That one's kind of fun. That would maybe fall under personal development, but to me, I think that's all part of wellness when you have a proper morning routine. I think I'm teaching that again next week on, I think it's Saturday I'm teaching that one. I have a new class coming out called Detoxing Your Home. So if you're into health and healing foods, detoxing your home is sort of a nice adjunct, because if we keep ourselves healthy and do the detoxifying for ourselves, what about if our environment is not all that healthy? So that class is coming up next Friday, like a week from now on the 30th, if you want to look that up in the schedule. So yeah, wellness, health. I love movies. The Oscars are coming up on Sunday if anybody's interested. I've been so sad without being able to go to the movie theater. Anybody else? I used to enjoy going to the movie theaters. Yeah. I don't know, like what's Hollywood doing? Are they just holding movies, or are they just making them all Netflix movies now? I'm not really sure. In any event, I'm pretty all-rounded. I like a lot of things. I love to travel. I can't wait till when we can travel again. I love food, so we are planning to go to Japan in March if they let us in. And I've had my vaccine and all, all the stuff is kind of not as bad as it is right now. And I'm really looking forward to trying some of the food. That's my big thing, is to test out the food. So it kind of falls in with what we're talking about today, because we're going to look at healing foods. If you would like to put your camera on, it's awesome. I love when people have their camera on so I can see who you are and I can remember who you are, and we can, you know, I don't know, it's just nice for relationships and to meet people here at Get Set Up. I love it, because if it was boring and I didn't get to see you, I would probably not like teaching at Get Set Up, but I do, because we do have good interactions and we ask questions and there's engagement. So please do that if you'd like. We do record the class. James always reminds me to put the recording on. And we are live streaming today. Does anybody know or not know what that means? Have you noticed on the website, there's a little icon with a TV, and you click on that and you can actually come right into somebody's class, just like today's class. There are people out there that we can't see, but they're listening in on the class. So hello to all of you, but they can't interact like we are in class. So I really encourage people to register for classes, because we can actually, you know, exchange information in the chat. They can't see the chat. I'm pretty sure they can't see the chat, but they can just listen in on the class. And then I just want to mention that we don't get paid or get kickbacks for any services or goods or anything that I might talk about in the class. So just so you're aware of that. The only reason I bring stuff up is just to share with you something that I love, or something I've noticed in a store that I've just gone into. And I like when you guys do the same. All right, so healing foods. We're going to talk a little bit, just what are healing foods? What does that mean exactly? And then we're going to I'm really going to hone in on these 7 healing foods that I chose. Now, I chose them for a reason. First of all, they are in my favorite list of foods that I love, but also because I feel these are foods that are very accessible to many people. I didn't want to pick some really odd, obscure spice that you've never heard of that you might not be able to get where you live, because what's the point? I wanted it to be accessible. And then we're going to talk about the simple recipes. So for all of you that are live streaming, you're not going to be able to get the recipes. You don't have to take notes on this part for all of you that are in class, because I'm going to give you a gift to you, a booklet with the 7 recipes that go with the 7 foods. And I've got some really nice notes, little tips on each of the recipes, and we can talk about the recipes towards the end of the class. All right, so I want to just ask this question. And I've asked this question a couple times in other classes too, but have you ever used a food to improve a symptom or like a body ailment? Maybe something you learned from your mom or your grandma or your uncle, anything? Joyce?
Well, ginger is supposed to be good for your body. It's for, I guess for sugar or high blood pressure, whatever like that.
Yeah. Yes. Ginger is, well, a secret, but well, you'll see, ginger might be one of my 7 foods, because ginger has some amazing, powerful healing benefits. And it's something that I honestly didn't really like when I was a kid. I found it too strong. If I bit into a piece of ginger, that would ruin my meal, honestly, when I was young. But, you know, I'm older now, so palates change, palates can change. My mom and dad were pretty good at introducing foods to us, and we ate fish when we were young, so that's why it's not a gross thing for me to eat fish. I think it's really what you grow up with, or what's around, that what you get used to, I think. But yeah, ginger's a great one. Anybody else? Is there any other, I don't know, food of some sort your grandma used to make you eat, or you always had at a certain holiday, or that you feel was like a healing food?
Not so much healing, but more preventative, apple cider vinegar.
Okay, yeah, and well, that's healing, right? If it's preventative, it's stopping you from, you know, getting whatever it is, like a cold, or improving whatever it is. And apple cider vinegar is an interesting one, because it seems to be a little bit more recent. Well, when I studied nutrition in 2003 to 2005 is when I did my nutrition program. And apple cider vinegar was a big deal. Like, I actually have a big jug of it in my kitchen, and I use it a lot in salad dressings and things like that. All right, well, let's get moving then. So I want to just start by just talking about what are healing foods. So usually they are, most likely they are natural and they're nutrient and dense foods. And that's because these are known to protect and mitigate and even cure some chronic diseases. They also are able to slow down the aging process and to promote longevity. Well, that sounds amazing, doesn't it? It's like, don't we want to have these healing foods in our diet? There are many healing foods, but I want to just unpack this just a little bit more, because the first time I taught this class, somebody was brave enough to ask me the question. And I love when people ask questions, because let's not just assume we know something. We might kind of know what it is, but maybe we just need to hear it in a different way. So the question was, what are nutrient dense foods? It sounds kind of good, but what does that actually mean? So nutrient dense foods, dense, so they're packed full, they're dense full of nutrients. So a food like an apple or a food like a banana, they are nutrient dense foods. Why? Because they are packed full of vitamins and minerals. Now, the way I explain it to people in this class is, because I learned this in nutrition, when you eat a food, anything, I don't care if it's like, you know, the healthiest food versus the not such great healthy food, like I don't want to pick on chips again. Let me think of something else, like a donut. Say you want to eat a donut. Sometimes, depending on what kind of donut it is, maybe there is some nutrients and vitamins and minerals in it, but for the most part, it's probably just full of sugar. Okay. No matter what you put into your mouth, like I just had a little bowl of walnuts. Your body, even if it's a good food, it has to process the food you just took in. So what does your body need to process the food? Well, it needs certain vitamins, certain minerals. The process is, you know, I don't know, it takes a tiny little bit of vitamin D and a bit of vitamin C and a little bit of, you know, whatever mineral to break down the food. So we need those vitamins and minerals to break down anything that we eat. So even if it was a crappy food, our body still needs vitamins and minerals and things to break down the food. So if you eat a banana, it probably can get the minerals and the vitamins right from the banana as it's breaking it down. But if you eat, what did I say, a donut, like just a plain old sugary donut, well, your body is like going like this. You know, I always like to put emotions on things. So the body's just going, oh my God, I have to break down this, I have to process this donut. There's nothing of value in here. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to have to steal some vitamin C from the stores you have in your body. I'm going to have to get the mineral I need to help me break this down and, you know, to get it processed and out the door, right? The back door. So if you eat non-functional foods, like I call them non-functional foods, your body has to kind of steal from the stores in your body. So if you eat nutrient dense foods, guess what you're doing? You're building up your stores. You might just need part of that vitamin to break down the banana, but the rest of it gets to go into your little store. Do you get what I mean? So nutrient dense foods help to build up our nutrients and our minerals, and we do have stores. Now, keep this in mind. Things like vitamin E or vitamin D, they are what they call fat soluble vitamins. We can store them and they can stay, like, you know how they scared us and said, don't have too much vitamin E because you can have an abundance and it can cause health problems, because our body can't really get rid of it readily. It's stored in our body. But guess what? Vitamin Bs, they're water soluble vitamins. Those things you just pee out. If your body is like the stores for vitamin, I don't know, B6 are here, and you're taking in a lot of vitamin B6, you just pee it out. It goes out in the urine, but only if it's water soluble. So that's what nutrient dense means. I hope that's clear. You could probably explain it now to somebody, and I encourage you to explain it to somebody because you will remember it a lot better. I learned that in school too. So why are nutrient dense foods like healing? Why are they healing? The number one reason is what I've got on the board here. I call it the board, but it's a slide. Because it helps to decrease and it helps to control the inflammation that's in our bodies. The number one thing that starts the gene expression, I'm going to use some technical terms with you, gene expression, well, my body, my hereditary background, there's a lot of diabetes. I probably have the genes for diabetes in my body, more so than say somebody else. Are those genes going to express themselves? That is the question, right? Doesn't mean I'm going to get diabetes just because my mom had diabetes and my grandmother and my grandfather had diabetes. This is something really important to understand. But will I express those genes? Well, when you eat nutrient-dense foods, like healing foods, it brings down the inflammation. So if you've got something that's, I've got the little diabetes gene sitting here and it's feeling pretty good, it's going to stay dormant because everything, the environment of where this is pretty nice. But all of a sudden, what if it's all redness and inflammation and there's stuff going on and a possible infection? Do you think that that gene might express itself because it's not happy? So think of it that way. I'm breaking it right down to like the nitty gritty. If we pretend that we can see inside our bodies and see what our cells are doing. So inflammation is key here. You want to keep your inflammation down. And when we have inflammation or redness or irritation on our skin, we can see it, right? We see the redness. Oh, my skin is swollen here. We can see it, but inside we don't necessarily see it. We might feel it, and we might have the awareness that there's something not good inside. Like, what about when our stomachs bloat out? Now, I love Zoom for this very reason, because it can't see my stomach unless I put the camera down. But I've been really focused on eating nutrient-dense foods, and my inflammation in my body, I can tell from the outside, is improving. Now, what is the one way to test how your inflammation is in your body? Does anybody know? Who's had their blood work done recently? Anybody? I mean, I haven't been to the doctor, honestly, actually in a little while, but maybe once a year you go get your blood work. Ask for a test, and the test is called C, like the letter C, dash, reactive protein. C dash reactive protein. That's the test that you get done to find out what level of inflammation you have in your body. C reactive protein. And, maybe test it. Like, it's not going to change overnight, but if you start to bring in these nutrient dense foods into your body, I can probably guess that your level of inflammation is going to go down. And sometimes that is the tipping point to whether you express a disease or not. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right. Just a little bit. There's Dr. Mark Hyman. There's Dr. Axe. These doctors are all about nutrition. They really believe that nutrition is the center, should be the center of healing and the center of medicine. Like Dr. Mark Hyman is a real strong believer of this. And Dr. Axe, he just says, hey, whatever I see in your grocery cart, it has a huge impact on your health. Have you ever been to the grocery store and a little bit embarrassed? Like, you don't want people to see the 2 bags of chips that you have in the grocery cart? I'm a little bit like that. Like, I don't like change my groceries because people are watching, but I'm a little bit shy when I'm on the Friday night. What I used to do this a lot. Friday night was like, oh, well, we're going to the movies, we're doing this, we're doing that. I used to put the crap in my grocery cart on the Friday nights. And when I had like healthy things, I always felt quite proud, I'm putting my food on the belt, when we used to go grocery shopping, feeling really proud of myself that I've got broccoli and I've got cauliflower and I've got all these beautiful veggies. Almost gave me a bit of confidence when I had the nutrient-rich, dense foods in my cart. So it's called C dash, like C and then a dash, C reactive protein. It's a blood test that you get done. All right, so these doctors are all about, nutrition as being the center. So I have chosen 7 healing foods. Well, let's get to them so we don't run out of time, because I really, really want to, I really do want to go through the recipes with you. So first food, don't be surprised, apples. I chose apples. Do you know that we kind of like ignore apples a little bit? Why is that? Oh, unless you're like an apple lover and you buy an apple. I mean, apples for some people are neutral, right? They don't love them. They don't hate them. There's some fruits and things that people either love or hate. Apples, I think, are quite neutral. Look at the saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. That came from somewhere. Like, I don't think someone just like made it up. So apples. it's true. There are people that will eat an apple a day. And you know, it's that beautiful, beautiful fiber in the apple. The pectin is the fiber, the soluble fiber. It helps for heart disease, prevention of heart disease. Apples are your best friend. Like if you don't like eating an apple, use your little, like I use my little bowls. That's what I put all my little things in. Cut up an apple, even if it's half an apple, you share it with your spouse. And once it's all cut up nice and beautiful and it's sitting there next to you at your desk, you can be munching on an apple, or, you know, versus something not as good. I picked this one because apples help us for our movement in our body. That's a nice way of saying apple a day. I bet you your bathroom experience is pretty good. Because if you were in my last class, Michael was at the last class, I talked about fiber being one of the main things that we just don't get enough of. We just forget about fiber because a lot of our food's processed, a lot of our food is packaged, and there's just not a lot of fiber in it. So if you had an apple a day, like if you don't do anything from all the health and wellness classes you've been taking and on Get Set Up and elsewhere, if you change nothing else but you add 1 apple a day, I bet you your insides start to feel happier. All right. So very good for heart disease, very good for getting the good fiber. Apples are just I mean, I love stewed apples, but anyways, we'll talk about the recipes after. But apples are something also, isn't it amazing? You go to your grocery store, you don't have 1 type of apple, you don't have 2 types of apples. Don't we usually have at least 3 or 4 types of apples in our grocery stores? Just even a smaller grocery store has at least two types. Try a variety of apples. People ask me, what's the difference? Like, what's the best, healthiest apple? Well, there isn't really necessarily the best, healthiest apple, but some have a different sugar content. Some have a different flavor. Like I have eaten an apple that tastes almost like citric. It has a little bit of a tangerine flavor to it. I love it. There's an apple we get up here called Opal, O-P-A-L. I don't know if you can get it where you live. It has this, that's the one that has that little bit of a citric sort of flavor. I love it, love it. It just reminds me of a cross between something, but I do believe it's still just an apple. All right, let's move on to the next food. Joyce brought this one up. Yeah, you talked about ginger. Ginger is amazing. Ginger is like, there's only one of the other 7 foods we're going to talk about today that I feel it trumps ginger, but ginger is my number 2. Ginger, if you don't like it, try to figure out a way to sort of ease it into your diet. Ginger is a miracle food as far as I'm concerned. Like, you know, it has a compound in it called gingerols, which is easier to remember because it sounds like gingerol. And what it does is it goes into your digestion. It goes right into your digestive tract, and it goes into the little receptors where you would normally, the nausea feeling that you might have would go there. So it stops and blocks that nauseous feeling. So ginger is great for if you've eaten like a too big of a meal and you're feeling kind of gross, have a little bit of ginger, will help settle your stomach. It's also really good for like improving your digestion. One of the neat things about ginger is, well, first of all, it's been around for many, many, many years. Like Asian cultures, they've been using ginger for a long time to like relieve your nausea, your aid with digestion. And they are even coming up with things. They think that it helps with arthritis and cancer protection. Now, I believe the reason is because it is an anti-inflammatory food. It helps to bring down inflammation as well. So if you are new to ginger, it looks like a root, right? Did I have a picture? Yeah, it looks like that. You buy like a chunk of it, it can go bad and it can be old. So when you pick it up, make sure it feels like it's fresh. It is a root. You don't put it in the fridge necessarily. You can just put it with your onions, I guess. But what I do, because I don't eat ginger like all the time, I put it in a Ziploc freezer bag and I put it in my freezer. And then I just pull out what I need, cut off a little bit and use that. Indian cultures, we do tend to use a lot of ginger, and Asian cultures, you'll get a lot of ginger as well. The other tip is I always bring, I never have a spoon with me. I don't know why every time I teach this class, but anyways, you have a piece of ginger, you've cut off that little leg. Don't use a regular peeler because first of all, when it's a little piece, it's going to be hard to peel anyways, but it's bumpy, right? So just take a spoon, like a teaspoon, turn it upside down and scrape with the spoon onto the ginger piece. And that'll take the skin off without taking all the ginger off because your piece is only a tiny little piece, right? This is my nail file and this is my pen. So pretend that these are ginger and spoon and you just scrape a little bit and it'll keep it off. Now, some people, you know, they don't even care. They keep the skin on, they just chop it up and throw it into their meal to get the flavoring. Maybe they take it out afterwards. I'm not sure. But however way you do it is excellent. Okay. We're going to get to the recipes after. Garlic. Who doesn't like garlic? I hope everybody loves garlic. I mean, obviously there's times when maybe you're not going to have a big garlicky meal because you're going to meet somebody or you're having an interview. Maybe for an interview, it's not great to have garlic before your interview, a job interview. But oh my gosh, I love garlic. This is the one thing, if I'm walking down the street, like I live pretty close to the downtown area where in my city. If we go out for a walk and I go past like a Thai restaurant, well, Thai has a lot of other smells, but just a restaurant in general, and you can smell the roasted garlic. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that like, I just get a big smile on my face and just, oh my gosh, I think, oh, what are they making? Like, what are they eating? I love garlic, and garlic has got a therapeutic compound called allicin. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, so don't get me on the pronunciations, but that compound is what gives it the antimicrobial, antibacterial, antiviral benefits. So anti meaning it protects you against microbes, bacteria, viruses, and it's also very anti-inflammatory. Now, nobody mentioned this in the beginning, but for me, when I was growing up, ginger was something we were given if we had a cold or we were maybe had an infection that we were fighting. My mom, just maybe because we did eat garlic quite a bit in our cooking, garlic was something that we would use. So this one's been around forever and ever and ever. Garlic is just, you know, and it's not everybody's favorite. I'll agree, it's not everybody's favorite, but roasted garlic, and the recipe is going to show you how to roast garlic properly. Okay. So let's keep moving on. So the other things with garlic, it's great for your heart. There have been studies talking about it helping with cancer treatment and cancer prevention. I don't talk about cancer a lot in any of my classes, actually, only because there's lots and lots of studies, right? Like my mom died of cancer. So gosh, when she was sick, I did everything in my power. I almost start crying, but I did everything in my power to save my mother, right? Like I was a nurse, I had nutrition. I was like, I didn't want my mom to die, right? Like I was just I was researching every day, trying to figure out like, what can I do to help reverse her cancer or whatever was happening to her. Now she had a very rare type of cancer. So I don't talk specifically about cancer prevention and that sort of thing in any of my classes. Maybe I will do a class on cancer if I can get through it without being teary. But as you can see, if we just improve our diet overall, aren't we just helping our eyes? Aren't we helping our brains? Aren't we helping our arthritis? Aren't we helping all these things? We have too many we have just too many choices these days, right? Now we don't even have to leave our home. We can just dial, I don't use them, but like Uber Eats or one of these things. We can even order McDonald's. Isn't that, I won't say disgusting, but the fact that you can order fast food and somebody will you don't even get the 5-minute walk to go to McDonald's to pick it up, or Burger King or whatever, you know, put your fast food place in. We just order it now and it just comes to our door. Okay, because of COVID, maybe we're doing a bit of that, but we can get anything. Our choices are so vast now. It gets kind of confusing. It gets kind of like easy. Isn't it easy just to do the easy foods? So sometimes getting a fresh bulb of garlic and chopping it up and adding it to our stir fry or to our soup or something, maybe it takes a little bit of time, but you're getting that fresh, dense, nutrient dense food that's going to help protect you and your immune system. All right, our fourth one. I hope that, oh,
Ravina, before you go on, are you able to tell us on a weekly basis how many
how much? Okay.
you could have these various foods?
Okay. So I'm going to keep it really simple for you, because I'm learning this now. Instead of like, I'm not against Weight Watchers for anybody who does Weight Watchers, but I want to make my life simple and easy. And I don't want to feel like I have to do this. I have this much and it's all like measured out and I have to eat that. Honestly, your body will tell you when you've had enough of something. If we really, really listen to our bodies and we're not full of toxins and all that, like I've been doing this cleanse thing for a little while, like no, I haven't had any dairy or any grains. I've been like reducing the inflammation in my body for the last, since January, I kind of been doing this. Do you know that my body tells me when it's had enough? Like you think that it doesn't tell you, but it does. For example, flax seeds. I was putting it in warm water in the morning and having my flax seeds in the morning because I knew I was low in omega-3s. This has a point, Sandy. And we were having it every morning. And then we kind of forgot it a couple mornings. And then we tried to do it again and I couldn't finish it. And I said to my husband, I said, you know what? I think I'm good with the flax seeds right now. I feel like my body's stores of omega-3s is at a good thing. We're eating fish once a week, so I feel I'm good. My body actually intuitively told me that. Now, it might sound a bit too woohoo for all of you, but it's not. So Sandy, how much should you have of these things? Have it while you enjoy it. If you're craving it, you're probably low in it. Like people crave chocolate because they're low in magnesium. So eat it while you're enjoying it. If after a little while you're going, I'm not feeling like blueberries in my porridge anymore, don't have it. So if you could get it into your diet once a week, that's a great start. I don't think you can overdo ginger, and I don't think you can overdo garlic. And honestly, I don't think you can overdo apples. I would eat an apple one a day or half an apple a day. If you have a spouse and you can share an apple, have half an apple a day. Blueberries, have a handful every day. They will tell you in terms of calories, if you're specifically counting calories. I do not do that. I just eat whole foods. I eat till I'm satisfied. And then it is hard for us to even fathom that, but our body, like back in the old days and ancient days when they used to hunt and gather and do stuff, they would eat. Well, usually they would eat while it was available because it might not be available the next day. But there was a time when we actually used to eat to satisfaction and then we would stop. But now we've got emotional eating, we've got like anger eating, we've got, oh, it's the movies. I got to eat when I'm at the movies. We have all these other habits. But if you listen to your inner body, it will tell you when you've had enough. But if that answers your question, I'd say try it once a week. If you haven't been eating ginger, bring it in once a week in a stir fry. If you haven't been eating a lot of garlic, maybe have garlic put it in your soup. Like you do your onions and garlic and you make a soup. Have it once a week. Start with once a week and see how you do. All right, blueberries is our number 4 one. Blueberries, love them. They are the powerhouse of antioxidants. My mentor, Jim Quick, he calls them brain berries because he's all about the brain. He studies the brain and memory. He calls blueberries brain berries because they're so good for your brain. It also has been known, blueberries have been known to lower your blood pressure. That's kind of neat. And also to promote heart health. Blueberries are easy to find. You might not have fresh, but frozen blueberries are very common. If you're lucky, like I have a little balcony. It's not a very big balcony. It's about 100 square feet. We have a blueberry bush. So for all of you that have never seen how blueberries are grown, it comes on a bush. So the bush is not like in the ground. It might be 2-3 feet high and the blueberries grow on it. And if you've ever gone blueberry picking, it's kind of fun. You know, they just fall when they're ripe and you're picking them, they just sort of fall into your palm. It's quite fun picking blueberries. It's not like strawberries that are usually down low in the ground. Like the strawberries grow from the ground usually, but like raspberries, blueberries are bigger bushes. So I've got a fun recipe for blueberries. So we'll get to that in a sec, because most of us eat them raw. I think for the most part, we eat them like just like raw fruit. The fifth one, oh, question?
I was just wondering if blueberry pie is out of the question.
Well, okay. I love pie. The first year that actually, was it the year we were married or the year before we got married? Maybe I was trying to get my husband to ask me to marry him, but I was buying all this great fruit in the summer and I was making pies. And I thought, oh, I got to get good at making pie. I made pie every weekend. We both gained probably about 25 pounds eating pie. I love it. Like, no, don't get me wrong. Pie is beautiful, but I would probably try to eat it as like on top of your oatmeal or in a smoothie or just fresh, like little candies. You can freeze them and eat them like frozen. That's kind of fun. You know, if you have like your grandkids, if you have grandkids over, you know, blueberry, they love that. They'll just sit there and eat blueberries like candy. They think it's candy, right? If you tell them here's your candy, they probably think it is candy. But anyway, I think blueberry pie is amazing. So have it occasionally. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Salmon. Now, for any of you that have taken my other courses, and I think Michael might be smiling at this because I go on and on and on and on about omega-3s, but that's because most of us are low. Sorry, Charlie, you have a question. I see your hand up.
Yes. You mentioned smoothies. Does that ever ruin some of the qualities, or you know, when you break down the, like I put an apple in a smoothie the other day, but I kept the skin on it and let the blender, because I figured, you know, I don't know, is that okay to use it?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's some things that probably don't love being whipped up in the smoothie, but no, I haven't. Like if it's a fresh thing, here's a tip. I'll tell you the tip. If you have spinach, if you have kale, you know, you can buy them in the big boxes. The best way to be able to eat that in your smoothie, like if you take a soft piece of kale and stick it into the thing, it probably doesn't even cut it up very well. You freeze it. So you take your cookie sheet, you put your parchment paper down, you lie your pieces of spinach, like fresh spinach or fresh kale, and you stick it in the freezer and you freeze them as individual stalks. They don't stay frozen for very long. But when you're making your smoothie, you take that piece of kale that's frozen and it will chop it up so nice into the smoothie. And no, you don't lose its benefit because it's a fresh piece of whatever it is that maybe you froze to chop it up. Now, apple is hard enough that you can just put pieces of apple into it. You don't lose it from whipping it up in your Vitamix or.
What about fat fiber though? Does it ruin the fiber?
No, because I mean, it's still going to be chewy. Like if you feel like you want to be chewing something more to get the enzymes in your mouth going, then sure, have half an apple outside of your smoothie. I put apple in my smoothie too for the sweetness, because I actually eat just a veggie smoothie, but I add a little bit of some sweetness, and it's a half an apple. So yeah, I make my smoothies kind of chunky, so when I'm eating it, I'm almost chewing the food too. So I mean, we could get into way more detail from a nutritional point of view, depending on if you have any health issues. But if you don't, you're still getting the benefits. I don't like to put my chia seeds, like I like to take my chia seeds and put them in a little bit of water and put it in my mason jar and put it in my fridge. And then I scoop out a little bit of chia seeds after I've whizzed my shake, because I like it to be like that. And that keeps it in that nice gel sort of feeling, and that helps better with digestion. So I hope that answers.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent. So salmon. Why do I talk about salmon as one of the foods? Because it's got omega-3s in it. Omega-3s, which I just went on and on in the last class. Omega-3s, it's an oily fish. Salmon's the oily fish. So it really, really helps. And it's anti-inflammatory again. I want you to do me a favor and do a test the next time. If you eat chicken or beef or any of these things, I want you to compare that meal to a similar meal, but with a piece of salmon. You eat your piece of salmon, you eat your, say you have broccoli with it, a little bit of rice, say that's your meal. Don't you just feel great after you eat? Unless you're allergic to salmon, you feel good. You don't feel full. You don't feel bloated. Salmon has anti-inflammatory products, things in it. So when you eat salmon, usually you feel pretty good after it. You feel satisfied. You don't feel overly full. Different than when maybe you eat like a steak or something. I always feel I've eaten way too much. Even though I'm eating a small amount of steak, I just feel different. So try it next time when you eat salmon. Or it could be salmon, it could be a canned salmon. I make an amazing canned curried salmon, potato curry salmon. It's not one of the recipes, unfortunately, but I might just put that as a recipe one day. Yeah, and you just use canned salmon for this curry. It's just so easy and it's so tasty. So it's packed full of proteins, B12, B6, vitamin D, selenium. And to answer the question that Sandy was asking, with fish, once a week, if you can get that once a week fish, maybe make salmon fish cakes one week, and then do fat salmon fillets another week. Maybe you have sushi one week, anywhere where you can get some salmon. Now, number 6 is avocados. I haven't talked about avocados in a while. I love avocados. I love fresh avocados. I wish I lived in a country where I had an avocado tree in my backyard, because I would be eating them all the time. I love them. In Fiji, they have tons and tons of avocados. In Florida, they do. Just to take a quick step back, because I saw Wilsey's message here, but I'm not a big fan of farmed fish. I'm sorry if somebody works at a fish farm. Wild-caught salmon is always better because it's in its natural environment. Farm-raised salmon, I would rather take nothing than have it. That's my strong opinion. Farmed fish is fed differently. It grows up differently. So if I had a choice, I would. Now, I learned this from a learner. Remember I said we learn from each other? One learner, and I haven't had a chance to look it up yet, she said that only wild caught salmon is in the cans. So whenever you get canned salmon, usually it will say wild caught. I don't think I've seen canned salmon that says farm raised. Has anybody? There must be a reason for that. So I'm going to research that. There must be a reason why they don't put farmed salmon in cans. This lady brought it up in my class. I think it was yesterday. So anyways, that was a step back to salmon. Let's get back to avocados. Do you know that there's about at least 15 types of avocados? The ones that we always see are the Haas, if you live near me, are the Haas ones, which are those ovally, like the picture, and they've got the brown skin and they're quite crinkly. Now, the kind you see if you live in Florida, if anybody's here from Florida or a place like that, and Fiji, the avocados are this big. They're like round and smooth and brighter green. The difference is these bigger ones have a little bit less fat in them than the other kind, but they still are full of the beautiful monounsaturated fats. So, they're all kind of equal. I wouldn't sort of say, oh, I better eat this one versus that one.
Yes, Ravina.
Yes.
Look out for the reed avocado. It's large like the one you're talking about, and it's really a lot better than the Haas if you can get it.
Reed, R-E-E-D?
Yes.
Okay. Where do you live that you can get them?
California.
Oh, okay. Well, we're on the same West Coast, so my cousin that lives in Loma Linda in California, she has an avocado tree in the backyard. I'm going to ask her which kind she has, but I just love avocado. They are an anti-inflammatory food. Who knew? I've been eating a lot of avocados, and so maybe that's helped with my knee inflammation as well. All right, and avocados high in fiber. For anybody from my last class, we talked about fiber. We forget about eating fiber. We need fiber. Avocados, and how often, to answer Sandy's question about how often, eat an avocado every day. I think avocados are amazing. I think these are miracle foods, avocados. I'd eat it every day if I could. We just run out sometimes. I have to go to the grocery store and then you buy it and you can't, it's not ripe yet. Then it has to sit out. Then I put it in the bag next to the bananas, you know, and I go through the whole ritual to try and get my avocados to be ripe. So one little tip about avocados is you can buy them in the freezer section. We have a bag in our, it's not as good as fresh. I'll say it doesn't feel as good as fresh, but I use the frozen avocado pieces in my smoothies. All right, let's just get to the last one. So we get to the booklet. Turmeric. Here's my number one. Remember I said there was a number one and ginger was number two? Turmeric's my number one. Thousands and thousands and thousands of studies are published about the benefits of turmeric. The compound in turmeric is called curcumin. Don't mistake that for cumin. Cumin's another Indian spice that has probably all its benefits. It's not my favorite, cumin. I only like a little bit of cumin. Otherwise, I find that too strong. You know, maybe when I'm 70, I love cumin, but like I like ginger now. I don't know. But cumin is something I can only take a teeny tiny bit. Turmeric, the compound is curcumin, and it has huge, huge benefits. It looks like see the picture, that root, it kind of almost looks like ginger. I noticed in my grocery store the other day, they had turmeric root. I don't recommend using the root unless you are like a foodie chef, you got the special gloves, the whole thing, because turmeric can stain your fingers and your counter and everything. So but the powdered form, there's some amazing powdered forms of turmeric. I think you can get it at almost any grocery store now. It doesn't have to be the Indian store. How do you use turmeric? Well, we're going to see a recipe, which is a really lovely recipe that my mom taught me to make. So I'm sharing a very special part of me with you guys, giving you the recipe for the seventh recipe. But turmeric, put a little pinch in your smoothie. Put a little pinch when you're making your deviled eggs. Do you know they use actually turmeric for coloring now in craft dinner? Did you know that? Go look at your craft dinner if you have a box. We always have a few in our house. Paprika and turmeric, they use those for the coloring now in craft dinner. They used to use, what did they used to use? Those bad things like the color number whatever and color number whatever, all those things that are terrible for us. So good on craft, you know, we'll give them a thumbs up at least for they won't tell you what percentage or how they're doing it, but they're adding a little bit of turmeric, a little bit of paprika to give it that beautiful bright orange color. So somebody that was in class with me 2 weeks ago said they started putting, now I haven't tried this because turmeric is quite bitter, can be a little bit bitter. She puts it in her oatmeal now. It changes the color of the oatmeal, but she's getting the turmeric. Out of all 7 foods, this one is the mother, I'm going to say mother of all healing foods to reduce inflammation in your body. So it's not just Indian food anymore. Put it in, well, somebody's doing it in their oatmeal. I say smoothies. You can add a little bit into your soup. I don't know, try it in anything. I mean, the thing is you don't want to put too much, like under a teaspoon, like I'm talking a quarter teaspoon in a smoothie. Otherwise it might change the flavor of your smoothie. All right.
Would you say powdered is best?
Powdered is just totally great.
Okay.
Because the root is very difficult to use and it stains your hands as soon as you try to cut it and all that. So I say powder is better. I'm going to say that for the accessibility and the ease is to use that. All right.
Ravina,
yes.
I've seen where they're saying it's a problem because it's not bioavailable, and so they've recommended using it with black pepper.
Yes, that's very true. And I'm glad you brought that up because when we look, I'm going to share the screen again here. I'm just changing screens here. So very good point. Turmeric can have some absorption issues, not issues, but if you want to increase your absorption, the studies are out that if you add black pepper to the turmeric, you will absorb it better. Lorraine's asking about turmeric capsules. Yes, absolutely. They have turmeric capsules. I've taken it before when I was really concentrating on inflammation reduction. And please talk to your doctor just to make sure that it doesn't affect any of your medications. So whatever you take, any kind of supplement, you always want to just mention it to your doctor. Just make sure, or even your pharmacist. Well, talk to your doctor for sure, but pharmacists are the guys or girls, gals that know so much about your medications, right? That's what they've studied their whole entire life. So I'm not against turmeric capsules. I know people rely on the turmeric capsules to just keep the inflammation down in their bodies if they've got arthritis and problems like that. Okay. Anything else from anybody, or we're all good? Yeah. Okay. Let's just take a quick peek here now. Now you're going to get a whole copy of this, so you don't have to take notes, but this is the little booklet I put together for you all. The first recipe is chunky applesauce. I make mine in a slow cooker, like the crock pot. So I like to make it chunky. You can cook it down more. Now here's the trick with apples. You know how when you usually have like a bag of apples, or you got apples and you just make your applesauce because, oh, I got lots of apples, I'm going to make applesauce. Don't make applesauce as an afterthought. Make applesauce as the first thought. So maybe you've got 3 different apples in your fridge. That's one of the tips I say here. Don't make it a one-note applesauce. Make it a full-bodied applesauce. So mix a few apples. That will make your applesauce taste amazing. Now, I talk about adding cinnamon because I love cinnamon. So I put 2 full teaspoons of cinnamon in. A pinch of nutmeg, one of the learners mentioned to me, or allspice. Make sure you don't put too much water because the water will express its come out of the apples. So you don't want it to be too watery. Half a cup is plenty. It might not look like it's doing anything, but once it starts heating up and moving, it will blend nicely. Now, you notice I don't have sugar here. You're never going to see a recipe from me unless it's a baking one that says refined sugar in it. Now, I want you guys to try this just as an experiment, just once. If you hate it, that's fine. When you make your applesauce, don't put sugar in it. Don't go, oh, do I need a bit more sugar? Just don't put any, zero sugar. And if you do that, you will allow these beautiful, gorgeous, God-created apples, if you believe in God, that have beautiful sugars in them. If you give it a chance to just like come out naturally, add the cinnamon, add your nutmeg, let it do its slow cooking, and you taste your applesauce. It is so good without sugar. Try it.
What about maple syrup?
Well, you know what? Maple syrup is like more of a natural sugar, as is like honey. Honey and maple syrup are probably the sweeteners that I use if I do use sweeteners. Well, just try it. Just try it without the sugar, just once, without the maple syrup. And if you have to, add it after, not before. We know we tend to just like, salt our food before we tasted it. Same thing. Don't put sugar in your applesauce until you've tasted it. All right, let's just move on so we don't miss all these recipes. So the next one on ginger, what I picked up is ginger tea. So I do lemon, I do a little bit of honey, and this is when you use fresh ginger. That I think is a really nice recipe. I've given you the tips on what to do with ginger, but here's the other little tip. If you know you're going to be traveling in a car, a long route trip, or on the bus, or you're going on a plane, or you're going on a boat, ginger actually can be preventative. So if you have your cup of tea ahead of time, it actually helps you prevent the nausea after. So you can actually take it preventatively. So you take it ahead of time. So that's just a quick note on that. All right. This recipe is fun. This is creamy mashed potatoes with creamy garlic mashed potatoes. It's just a way to use the garlic. This is a really fun recipe. I like using the yellow or Yukon Gold or yellow potatoes because maybe I like the color. I don't know, maybe it's just the flavor I like. You can also use just the regular russet potatoes. That makes a nice mashed potatoes as well. And in this recipe, it's 2 pages here. It talks about roasting garlic.
Can you use red potatoes?
Yeah, absolutely. I think potatoes all have different ways that they cook. They say these ones are best for frying. These ones are better for baking. There are some, like russet potatoes, I think are one of the main ones for baking. I like red potatoes as well, so sure. Yeah.
And another thing, can I use powdered garlic sometimes?
Yeah, I actually have powdered garlic. I use it. There's garlic salt and there's garlic powder. There's a difference for you guys. You know, garlic salt has salt in it. So if you're trying to watch your salt, don't just keep shaking on the garlic salt. But garlic powder doesn't have the salt in it. It's just the garlic. And if you taste it, you can taste it raw. Oh, that's just garlic. So yeah, absolutely. If you don't have fresh, I use it in when I make mac and cheese. If I make my homemade one, I put a little shake of garlic powder in mine.
Me too. Okay. Thank you.
Good. You're welcome. This is my really fun recipe, blueberry vinaigrette dressing, because we eat blueberries tend to eat them raw. This one is like is a salad dressing, but you can put it on fish, you can put it on chicken, and you can put it on salad greens. I love this one. It is fresh. Remember, blueberries don't last forever. So if you make it, I put it in like a mason jar, put a lid on it, put it in the fridge, and take it out for the meal for the week. After about a week, I probably would say that it's, I would use it. I would probably just try and finish it up. But you are putting a bit of vinegar in it, and that sort of helps to kind of preserve it a little bit. Remember with this recipe, you kind of need like a magic bullet or like a NutriBullet, something that is a little bit more powerful to kind of bring it together. Now, you might say, oh, I'll just cut out the fat, the oil, because I don't need any more oil in my body. The oil is what helps to emulsify it, to smooth it out, to get it all consistent. So if you skip the olive oil, it won't mix very well. So keep that in mind as well. All right, 2 more recipes, I think, 3 more recipes. This one is the beginner's, well, it's very delicious, but this is the beginner, I don't eat fish very often recipe. So if you've got young grandkids, children, a spouse that's not a big fish fan, put this little beautiful marinade on their salmon, and I think they might like it. It has soy sauce, a little bit of soy sauce, a little bit of orange juice, a little bit of maple syrup. It's really, really delicious. It's like almost like eating, well, it's not candied fish, but it's just really delicious. So there's that recipe. And the marinade, you make it up ahead of time. You put it on the salmon and you put it in the fridge and you let it marinate for a while. So you have to think a little bit ahead when you do that one. And I put this tip here. If you've eaten salmon before and you didn't like it, I bet you had it when it was overcooked. Okay. Second to last recipe is guacamole. This is, well, if Michael lives where he lives and he gets a lot of avocados, I bet you he eats guacamole. You don't need a lot. You can just like mash up your avocado, add a little bit of sea salt, a little bit of olive oil even, mix it together, and now you've got your guacamole. This recipe comes from Mexico. This is from a lady. I learned how to make this from her kitchen in Mexico. Guacamole, you got to make it. You need to kind of eat it because it goes that oxidized sort of brown. You can just scoop off the brown if you put it in the fridge, but you got to cover it. Any air that gets to it's going to change the color of it. What else? I give a little tip on what you could do. I've tried this. I was trying to think of ways to keep avocados in good shape. But if I go to certain stores and I get the little bag with the small avocados, because then I just eat one whole avocado and it's done. The whole keeping a half avocado just doesn't work for me that often. What else about guacamole? It's just a really fun, this is a nice recipe. If you don't like onions, leave the onions out. If you're not a fan of cilantro, leave the cilantro out. But this is the ultimate recipe, I think. And then lastly, before we end the class, is my mom. My mom's name is Sarita. She'd be so thrilled that I'm sharing this recipe with all of you. It's yellow dal. Dal is an Indian word for kind of like a soup. And you can eat it with bread. You can eat it with roti or like naan bread, dip it into the dal. It is absolutely delicious. Now, and Michael, you'll notice, because my mom didn't have this in the recipe before, but I added in half a teaspoon of black pepper just to get the absorption of the turmeric. But you see this recipe has 2 teaspoons of turmeric in it. It makes quite a nice batch, and you can freeze it. It freezes really, really, really well. You put it in little containers, you pull it out, so you can get your turmeric every day. This recipe, I explain how you make it taste really tasty. If you follow this recipe exactly like it is, please come back to a class and tell me what you think. I've had some people do that, and it just makes me so happy. And my mom taught me this recipe as the very first Indian recipe that she taught me when I was a kid, like a young girl. So that is the recipe book. You're going to get that. And I'm just going to quickly get back to our other slides just before we end. That's the summary. Let me just get back, like make it a bigger screen so it's a bit bigger for you to see. So I want to thank you all for being here today. There's more new classes coming every day by a lot of us guides are creating new classes. I'm all about the health and wellness. I have a class coming out on arthritis and how to manage arthritis and relieve arthritis. And a lot of it, you can guarantee I'll talk about food. Somewhere in the class, I talk about food. I'm doing a class right now I'm creating on optimal eye health because we sort of tend to forget about our eyes. And I will be sending a post email out to you for sure, and you'll get the attachment. It's in PDF form, so you can print it or look at it on your screen. Please, if you get a moment, just take a few seconds to fill out the feedback form. You can pick whatever stars you want. I think it starts at 4, but you can go higher or lower, and give us some feedback, constructive feedback, because I read every single feedback I get from all of you. So if you put anything specific there, I will read it. It's me reading it. I have no assistant. It's just me. And we have this new button now. You can invite a friend. So once you sign up for a class, there's like invite a friend, and you can click that button. You can invite a friend directly right there after you've signed up for something. And please give us some hints on suggested classes you'd like to see. And if you would like to request a recording, or you'd like to host your own little interest group, all of that can get sent to help@getsetup.io.
Miss Ravina, I usually don't get the email after the class.
Okay, I'm going to make sure, Joyce, that you are on. You're getting the email. I will make sure your name is on my list. The unfortunate thing is we get this list that's already automated for us. And if somebody gives me another email address, there's no way for me to edit and add it that I know of right now. So Joyce, I'm going to try to make sure I see your name there to send you the email. It gives us the class list. So if whatever email you signed up with is the email it will get sent to.
Yeah, I put my email on.
Okay.
Y'all have my email because I have to type it in. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, so hopefully I'll check and see if not, Joyce, please send a message to help@getsetup.io, and they'll somehow get me your email or whatever, so I make sure I send you the booklet, because it's kind of nice to have this booklet. All right, well, thank you everybody for being here. Have a lovely, great rest of the weekend.
Miss Ravina?
Yes.
You did an excellent job. You had my attention. I mean, it was all through. I couldn't wait until are you a vegetarian?
You know what? I'm not, but you know what?
Okay, that's okay.
But guess what? I am what they call a flexitarian. It's a real thing, flexitarian. And what that is somebody who eats a lot of plant-based foods, but chooses what meat they might eat. So I eat wild-caught salmon, wild-caught fish, and I eat humanely grown animals. So I'm not vegan, but I do eat a lot of plant-based. Yeah.
Okay. So if you can give a class on plant-based, that I know it would be excellent.
Okay. Well, I'll put that down on the list for sure. Absolutely.
You did.
Thank you.
I've been on some classes before, but your class is just excellent. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the feedback. I really, really do, because first of all, it puts a smile on my face. I know I'm doing the right thing. And I've loved health and wellness my whole entire life. And my mom is not here, so I don't want to start crying, but she's not here. But if I can help other ladies out there and men, it brings happy tears to me. So have a lovely weekend, everybody.
Thank
And
you.
see you again in another class.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good.